Hi, thanks so much for joining me on Merlin's Mountain today. Now then, if you're watching in the future, don't worry about what I'm about to say. There's bound to be lots of stuff in this video to appeal to you. But this is basically the 1st of October 2022 when I'm doing this video, and that means that Mercury Retrograde is almost over. The show's nearly over. The fat lady is singing as we speak, as you watch this. We are so nearly there. And the great thing really about Mercury retrograde finishing is that we get about a week afterwards while Mercury is starting to speed up again as it starts going in the right direction. I don't say he or she, by the way, because Mercury has no gender associated with it. Very fitting in our world today, actually, because of that. But yeah, Mercury begins to speed up, and that is called the post-shadow to the retrograde. And that's when we start understanding a lot of the stuff that happened during the retrograde. So it's an interesting time. If you keep a diary, if you've made any notes at all about where your thoughts were leading you during this Mercury retrograde, then in the next week or so would be a great time to look through that diary. And in whatever way you do it, actually, just go back over the thoughts and feelings you were having during Mercury retrograde, and you will see things in a totally different light. So, okay, we'll do all the details in a second, and then we're going to bring out the Halloween Tarot, because it is actually Halloween month now. And as it says on the box of this deck, it doesn't have to be Halloween to use the Halloween Tarot. But, you know, it's obviously the thing to use as we go into Halloween month. So those details of the end of Mercury retrograde and what it's all about, it's actually been going on since a little while before the 10th of September 2022. So it's been quite a long one, this. It's been almost a month, but it ends on the Sunday the 2nd of October, and that's going to be at 5:07 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 2:07 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and actually 9:07 a.m. UTC, which would mean 10:07 a.m. in UK time, because we're a little bit further ahead of the clock, because our clocks haven't fallen backwards yet. I don't think anybody's have, but this is the time when the winter energy starts to come in, hence we start looking at Halloween and everything. So this, you know, is happening in 24 degrees and 12 minutes of the sign of Virgo, and Mercury actually went retrograde in Libra. So it's kind of all over the place, but this is what happens with planets moving backwards. And then we have the post-shadow. That's going to be ending in Libra on the 17th of October, 4:38 a.m. Universal Time. In other words, 12:38 a.m. Eastern Daylight, 9:38 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on October the 16th. And then we do actually have another retrograde beginning on the 29th of December this year. But the good news is we can get kind of Thanksgiving, we can get Christmas, all that stuff out of the way, have a good old festive season. And just as we come to New Year, we will have Mercury retrograde. That is going to be Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, which is a different kettle of fish. And it is actually, of course, going to go on right through until January of 2023. And let's hope that's a better year. It's a scary year, quite honestly. It's very difficult to know what's going on with the world at the moment. Anyway, let's bring out the Halloween Tarot and let's do a reading and just see what cosmically is going on apart from Mercury retrograde in our lives, just as we come to this rather special time. And just while I'm shuffling the deck here, wow, guys, do hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It helps the channel no end. I'm always saying there's more videos coming. There haven't been many lately, but there are going to be more. There are many reasons why there haven't been many from me just lately, actually. Not the least of which is, as you may have heard, there's great economic upheaval in UK at the moment. We have this crazy government which has responded to what we all call the cost of living crisis, which I think we're feeling in every country of the world at the moment, actually. It's a worldwide thing. Our government has responded to that by just kind of tightening things up and making everything more expensive and generally failing to do anything apart from give rather a lot of money to the very richest people. And I mean the millionaires. I don't just mean, you know, upper middle class people. Is there a middle class anymore? I don't know. Crazy. But the bottom line is, I want to kind of make sure things don't get too cold here during the winter. So I have been logging. I've been getting hold of logs. I've been sawing them up. And it's surprising how quick they go, actually. You work all day chopping logs, and 2 days later you've burned them all. Just the way it goes. Okay, so let's turn over our top card here. And we have the Four of Ghosts. The Four of Ghosts, there's our first Halloween card. And this is a pick a card, by the way, so I hope you've picked your cards by now. Four of Ghosts is card number 1. We're going to do 5 cards in this reading. So it's almost like a traditional horseshoe spread, really. Four of Ghosts is essentially the Four of Cups. And here we have our characters sitting there. And, you know, some things are good, some things aren't so good. Isn't that just the nature of life? But basically, the problem in this card is that she's not really fully aware of the kindness and the help that's coming from other people and, generally speaking, from the universe. But the ghosts are there telling her all about it. And down the front here, we have these 2 ghosts sharing the feast. And it looks a much happier scene, really, than she is taking any notice of. She's just kind of determined to have a bad time there. Some people are determined to have a bad time. What are you going to do about it? But at this time, where everything in the world is scary and we've all got so many worries going on, this is really, really worth taking notice of, because the general story of the Four of Cups is that things are better than we think. And if this card represents you, friends, I guess you've been going through some disappointments. I guess you've been having a hard time. And I'm truly sorry to hear about that. You know, even those of us who aren't having a particularly bad time are sort of worried about other people, and, you know, it's all concerning. I'm kind of concerned about my family and all that kind of thing. But this is water sign energy, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. It is very, very emotional when we get the cups. And the Four of Cups is like, you know, 4 is a nice solid number and it's the angel number 2. But it also means that the Four of Cups energy has actually quite a strong basis and is actually really something. It's not just crazy to worry at a time like this when we get the Four of Cups. You know, there are real reasons for worrying. But don't forget, it is the angel number, like I said a second ago. And that really is the answer. That is the thing to think about. Because no matter how things go, no matter how bad things go, no matter how good things go, the angels are always there helping us to learn and actually helping us to make a difference, which is such a positive thing. It really is. Card number 2, and we have the 10 of Bats. There it is, 10 bats flying through the sky, and this lady really kind of asleep. This is representing the suit of swords. It's the 10 of swords, essentially, and in the more traditional Rider-Waite images, and many images in modern tarot decks, that would be 10 swords stuck in her. But she's kind of more restful than that. Looks like she's so restful there's no life left in her. And I think we probably all feel a fair bit like that at this crazy time in our world. But the swords are all about thoughts, you know, and thinking our way out of situations. It can be painful to think about these things. A lot of us are trying to look the other way. I know I am. I'm very guilty of that. But the thing to do is actually focus on it and actually try and make something change. Because it's a suit of thinking, it's crazy thoughts going on, but it's also the air sign suit, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and, you know, the answers are blowing in the air, blowing in the wind, like the song said, and like the 10 bats are in this card, actually. Everything is to play for. You know, when we come into times of confusion, times when things are really difficult and really worrying, there is a lot of strong possibilities, I should say. There are a lot of strong possibilities for things working out and things waking up as well. Excuse me. And I know this lady is going to wake up and is going to come back to life. See, she's down in the water here, and the pagan, the Celtic symbology of water has a great deal to do with the divine. You know, water really was a symbol of God, was a symbol of anything divine that people believed in. Water really was seen as life. In the pagan tradition, people say salt is life, but water really was what it was all about in those old days. And when we think about water sign energy, then that's really the same kind of thing. Stonehenge, which isn't too far from Merlin's Mountain here. It's, you know, a couple of hours drive in the car and I would be at Stonehenge. And that was originally built 5,000 years ago, we think. At the time it was built, there was actually a river flowing right close to it, really close by it. And so that river, it's a flow, you know, we say go with the flow, and this is the flow of life. That's what the river is all about. And the flowing river, the flow of life, if you go with the flow, Ten of Swords pickers, and Ten of Swords people generally, then you will actually come back out somewhere else. And the symbology of this is that she can come back to life, basically. And interestingly, it happens to be Holy Rosary Day in the Roman Catholic Church, and it makes me think of Lourdes. It was water, you know, that Saint Bernadette got involved with, and all the symbology of that has to do with the healing nature of water, the healing properties of water. So this isn't restricted to any one belief system, and the reason for that is, just as I'm going to do now and hydrate myself a little, water is great stuff. It's almost the best medicine, really. You know, I'm not going to say it's the only medicine. Goodness knows we are blessed with many more medicines than that, be they herbal or, you know, stuff you get from the doctor. We have a lot of blessings in that direction. But you always take medications with water, don't you? And it's because water is really the key to bringing about positive change. So there, friends, is card number 2. It's the 10 of Bats. Time to move on to card number 3. And this actually is very representative of Mercury retrograde. Being a 5-card reading and this one being in the middle, it's what everything hangs on. And this just adds to what I said at the beginning about the show's not over till the fat lady sings. And she's singing, but we've got another week or so of things generally around Mercury retrograde. Positive things, making us aware of why things went the way they went during Mercury retrograde. But the card is the Hanged Man. And here is the Hanged Man, essentially a scarecrow, is it? I suppose it's a Guy Fawkes, really. That's a very British thing, isn't it? But yeah, Guy Fawkes trying to blow up the Houses of Parliament in London. And I think a lot of people would like to do that at the moment, actually. I really, gosh, you know, I'm not saying I would, far be it from me, but I'm sure a lot of people would love to blow up the Houses of Parliament at the moment. But they're not going to, because this is the Hanged Man, and here he is hanging upside down, quite happy, quite healthy, really. And he's got these green laughing heads grinning away at the bottom here, in keeping with the spirit of Halloween, I suppose. And so this really is the nature of coming to the end of Mercury retrograde. We've still got the next week or so to go to be working things out. And so it's not a great time to just think, all right, that's the end of it now, we finished, you know, get back on with life again. Do keep on with life, you know, and do get back on with life as soon as you can, because life is a flow, like the river we were talking about in the 10 of Bats there. Life is... yeah, actually getting on with life is the thing that keeps things flowing and keeps things happening. But just for now, bide your time, take your time, keep on thinking, because things don't suddenly radically change all at once just because it's the end of Mercury retrograde, or actually ever in our world. You know, change is always a gradual thing. Sudden changes do happen, but they tend to be part of bigger changes, part of a bigger picture when we look back over it. Card number 4, friends. We are cracking on with this reading now, and it is a 4. It's the 4 of Pumpkins. In other words, friends, the 4 of Pentacles. That is what the pumpkin suit in the Halloween tarot represents. It's the 4 of Pentacles. So earthy energy here, the need for grounding, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn being the earth signs, and general abundance, general things to do with wealth, possibly things to do with money as well. Right, hiccups, there we go. There are many reasons why I don't make many videos, and this is one of them. But never mind, here we are getting on with things, and things are going to be fruitful if you pick this card, because look, this character, the Four of Pumpkins, 4 square, good number there, the black cat is looking on, and his legs are actually made out of these green pea pod things. In fact, he is completely made out of vegetables. And, you know, harvest time is pretty much here. It's sort of on its way. We've been harvesting in our gardens for a little while now, and things are starting to change as we settle down for winter. But there is great abundance there. You know, I've got hundreds and hundreds of apples on my apple tree. Just as many apples as I want, as many potatoes as I want, as many tomatoes as I want, loads and loads of abundance with all that. And that is wonderful. Now, sure, out in the real world, and this is the reason why I grew all that stuff, out there in the real world there are food shortages and things are getting quite scary. But remember, friends, there is abundance somewhere, and if you keep believing it, you keep visualizing that abundance coming towards you, it will happen. This is the Four of Pentacles. It's kind of early in the Pentacles journey, so certainly grounding is still needed, but the moon is looking down rather sternly, rather strictly there, reminding us that, you know, don't take anything for granted. Whatever happens, don't take anything for granted. But there's a sign of riches on the way with this card coming in at number 4 in the spread. And friends, this brings us to the final card, card number 5 in today's reading, and it is the Two of Imps. In other words, the Two of Wands. So fire sign energy here. This is about getting things done, which is great at the end of a reading of this kind, because this is kind of where, you know, you get to the end of the video and you get fired up in your own way, and you actually go out there and make things happen, make those positive changes. Leo, Sagittarius and Aries associated with this because they are the fire signs, and we've got the Two of Imps, and someone's kind of just banging their heads together, really, because they're really trying to fight, and there's just no point in that. But somehow somehow that negative energy is being harnessed in a positive way, and the two wands there are like torches, and that's a really comforting thought as the nights grow darker in the northern hemisphere as we're coming towards the season of winter. But there are stars in the sky, and as always in this card there is the black cat looking on. So plenty of luck symbolized in all these cards because they've all got black cats. And just remember, friends, it's an expression. I think I don't know if it's totally only a British expression, but it's certainly an expression we use in Britain as we're saying goodbye. We will very often say, be lucky. And that's what I wish you, friends, you know, be lucky. And remember that you can be lucky. It really is positive. You know, luck it's a wonderful thing. It actually does happen. Somebody once was writing on a forum a few years ago was actually very critical of all things spiritual, anything to do with the New Age movement, of spirituality, anything to do with God. And he said, you know, abundance is just luck. Why not just want luck? Well, quite honestly, you know, I believe in abundance, and it is a thing worth looking at in its own right, but it does come down to luck, and you can be lucky. And as I bring this video to an end, that is what I'm going to say to you, friends. Be lucky. Do hit the subscribe button, please, if you haven't already. Drop a like on this. Let me know in the comments below which cards you picked. If any, you could have picked one, you could have picked all 5, you could have picked 2 or 3 of them. Entirely up to you, but I would love to know what do you think of it, and I would love to know which cards you picked, because the most important thing in any of my readings is what that reading actually means to you. That is the whole point of doing readings for people. It's what it means to the person who gets the reading is really essential and is really what matters. So, friends, I'm not going to say all is safely gathered in just yet. I'm still gathering in abundance, and I'm incredibly grateful for that, actually. But my plan, as I'm always saying, is to upload many more videos. So keep it here. Keep it Merlin's Mountain. I will see you again in a future video, friends. Thanks so much for watching. Love, light, blessings to you, and peace.